Here we have the current stock market update for NVIDIA Corporation, stock ticker NVDA. Before we begin with today's chart analysis, if you find these educational materials to be helpful in your trading, please remember to click the like and subscribe buttons and leave your thoughts below in the comment section so that other traders will be able to find this information more easily on the platform. So with this price analysis, we're going to start with the 1 hour price chart, and then we're going to zoom in a bit more closely here. So initially what we're looking at is a candlestick time frame where each candle represents a 1 hour trading period. And as we can see currently, share prices are starting to trade under pressure once again. It will be important for this stock to look into the shorter term timeframes here because we're starting to see some signals develop on those timeframes as well. But I wanted to just start with the broader context here so that we can sort of remind people what's been going on with the last few chart analysis videos. So specifically what I'm pointing to here is the development of a rather large head and shoulders price pattern that can now be seen on this time frame. So specifically what we're talking about here is this prior high at 120.16, which was developed during the August 1st trading session, and then these near-term highs, which posted at 131.26. This would have been printed on the August 26th trading session. And then more recently, what we have here is a near-term price high, which was generated just below 120.80. As we can see here, there is some symmetry here between these two shoulders. Generally, what I would prefer to see if we're really looking at a strongly forming head and shoulders pattern, what I typically prefer to see would be a lower right shoulder. I think that's a bit of an indicator of more weakness for the asset. We're not really seeing that here. This is a bit of a higher shoulder, slightly. So it's roughly 120.80 versus roughly 120.15. But nonetheless, we're still starting to see this develop here, continue to develop. And given the size of this price pattern, it's a rather large price pattern, and the distance between the head of the pattern and the neckline is quite substantial. It's roughly $30, nearly $30 per share. So that would give us a tremendous, an outsized price target here to the downside if we do start to see continued price movements here. Now, I do think that this price pattern here, the projection here, I think is a bit extreme. But we can't deny the fact that share prices are continuing to move lower here. So this is a signal that will need to be watched here near term. Overall, this is a bearish pattern. So at the very least, what this is telling us is that there was some reason to believe that we were going to be in store for some selling pressure in this stock. And this was also present in the relative strength index reading as well. As we can see here, there is a very clear trend in downward momentum that is being presented here on the relative strength index, a series of lower highs here. So, when you put all of these together, the development of a head and shoulders pattern and then a bearish indicator reading as well, you do have, at the very least, a recipe for losses in share prices. So I'm not exactly sure that I'm willing to, say that I expect a massive price movement lower in the way that this price pattern would typically project. But we can't ignore the fact that the stock is currently trading under pressure, and this was being forecasted based on several different signals. So what we're going to do next is we're going to move down to the 15-minute price chart just so that we can take a closer look at this more recent near-term price move. If you remember on the hourly chart, we were also trading below the exponential moving average cluster, and we can see that this trend is also visible on the shorter term time frames as well. We can get rid of this trend line here on the RSI. But what I would most like to point out here is that share prices themselves on this near-term trend basis are starting to form lower highs as well, in addition to breaking some relatively important support zones in the process. So we'll just sort of draw out this descending triangle type of pattern here that is starting to develop because what we're seeing here is a break of support in addition to the development of lower highs that are being seen here. So if we go back to those 120.80 highs roughly, we can see that this near-term high more recently during the September 17 trading session came in right around 116.78. So let's just mark that in here. It'll be 116.78. So that's this near-term high, and clearly this is lower than the 120.79 high that was posted previously. And then what we also have to look at here is this series of price lows that is now starting to develop in a bearish direction. So previously we had a price low from September 16 coming in at 114.35. And now, if we look at the trading session today, we can see that this near-term price low can be found a bit lower here, coming in at 113.68. So overall here, the trend is not positive. And we can see that there is now a series of lower highs and lower lows that is starting to develop on these shorter term timeframes. In addition to that, you've got this descending triangle pattern that has now broken to the downside, and share prices are also trading below the entire exponential moving average cluster. So, this is a series of negative events here that should be watched quite closely because the indicator reading on the shorter term timeframes is also bearish and, at least near term. We do see a bit more positive activity if we go out a bit further in time here. So roughly something like this. The scope here for potential declines, is somewhat mixed because we do have this longer term trend momentum that is still focused in the positive direction. And then in addition to that, you've got a very steep slope on this downward sloping trend line here. We've also, we're trading within relatively close proximity to oversold territory. And it does look like the indicator reading itself is attempting to bounce out of this area. So currently what it would take to sort of dismiss or invalidate this near-term bearish outlook first would likely be a break of this trend line here on the relative strength index. If we can get some suggestion that the negative momentum for this stock is starting to complete itself or at least slow down, this could start to at least bring some support for share prices, and hopefully start to invalidate or give us some reason to expect this longer term head and shoulders pattern to be invalidated. Ultimately, what would need to occur in order for all that to take place would be a break above 120.80. If we see a break above there, that would invalidate the head and shoulders pattern. And it would allow us to start to view this structure in a more positive light. So here's the current stock market update for NVIDIA Corporation, stock ticker NVDA. Our high value trading strategies membership is currently available for a limited time for only $9.99 per month. These high conviction investment strategies are characterized by superior risk to reward metrics that target massive market beating returns over time. Join now to outperform the market, lock in this special introductory rate of just $9.99 per month for the entire lifetime of your membership, and start trading stocks with the pros.